Thank you again for joining us from wherever you are in the world. I'm Lisa Starr. I'm a consultant, educator, and journalist in the spa and wellness field. But today I'm welcoming you on behalf of the consulting initiative of the Global Wellness Institute, of which I am the task force chair. We are being joined by three panelists. Don't worry, it won't be just me talking to you, but I wanted to set the stage a bit before we ask the panelists to join us. You might be wondering, why is the consulting initiative having an AI webinar? And I can say that my consulting colleagues and I have been talking about AI along with the rest of the world, and we felt like it was time for a deeper dive. We're encountering it. You know, consultants work in all silos of different businesses, and we're seeing AI usage really pick up, and people are not always sure what to do with it. And we thought perhaps it is time for a deeper dive, whether it's design, operations, fitness, HR. We have panelists that will be addressing those AI issues in real life operations. Just this week, I had a client show me a set of treatment protocols they had written that were all written with AI. And I've seen the same with job descriptions and task outlines and lots of routine documentation. And you know, the AI does a pretty good job. It's not perfect. Luckily, we can still keep our jobs. But because of this increasing adoption, I felt it was time to discuss it. And we want to be clear also about the types of AI that there are. There's been so much furor about it recently, but AI is not new. It was developed in the 1950s, in fact. It had a sort of dark period in the 70s when they felt that it was overpromising and funding was cut. But it picked up again in the 90s. You probably remember IBM's Deep Blue, which was the program that played chess and actually beat the world champion. That was 1996. In 2011, we had Watson. In 2011, Siri was introduced. In 2014, Alexa. So what really seemed to have been the catalyst here was OpenAI and the ChatGPT. There are versions 1 and 2. In fact, version 2 was trained on 1.5 billion parameters, and that seems like a lot, right? Well, version 3, released in 2020, was trained on 175 billion parameters, which has made it obviously very excellent at doing certain tasks. And now we are seeing ChatGPT and its relatives incorporated into many aspects of life. So the NVIDIA makes 4/5 of the chips for AI. Their market cap right now is $2.5 trillion. Just this week, one of the two computer scientists won the Nobel Prize in Physics for discoveries around neural networks, which has made all of this possible. So AI is around us and it's here to stay. I think we need to know how to use it and not to fear it, but also know what are the best uses of it. And that is why I've invited these three experts to join us. We are joined by Enrico Monteresi, the Global Head of Communications for Technogym, by Vishal Patel, President and Chief Medical Officer of Sensei. And by the way, he is the co-chair of the Artificial Intelligence Task Force for GWI. And we're joined by Toby Ward from Design for Leisure in the UK. So welcome, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Lisa.
It's our pleasure. So give us an introduction, Enrico, to you and your job and what your interactions with AI have been before we get into our deeper questions.
Of course, my name is Enrico Monteresi. I'm Head of Communication globally at Technogym. Of course, Technogym within the fitness wellness food industry has developed a pretty unique ecosystem in order to provide the personalized training to people anywhere and anytime. So at home, at the gym, at hotels when they travel, at the doctor, at work. So for us, artificial intelligence is a great technology to make the workout, the training is very precise for every single individual.
Perfect. And then Toby?
Thanks, Lisa. I'm Toby Ward. I'm a design manager at Design for Leisure. We design and build hydrothermal spa areas in the high-end commercial and residential sector. And as a design manager, always looking for new ways to streamline and improve our design processes. So, AI is not something we can ignore.
For sure. And Vishal?
Thanks, Lisa. I'm Vishal Patel. I'm President and Chief Medical Officer of Sensei. We run high-end wellness retreats. And from my vantage point, AI has the opportunity to bring in a lot of operational efficiencies to the way that we do business. And it's already touched both a number of parts of our internal operation as well as for our customers. It has the opportunity to introduce a high level of personalization than we thought was possible before. I've been grappling with AI for some time now.
Grappling is a good word. Before we dig into the questions, I'd like to do a quick poll for those of you that are able to participate. I'm launching it now. It has 2 questions about your AI usage, and we'd love to hear from you about what your sort of facility with that is now. And I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that. Then we're going to come back to you, Enrico, and dig in a bit. Everyone's trying AI, and they're mostly using it for work. I'm going to end the poll now. Thank you guys for doing that. Enrico, could you tell us a little bit about how Technogym is incorporating AI into their product?
For us, AI is a fundamental element of our interaction with consumers. So basically for us, AI is not good and not bad. It's just a technology for us. Of course, we face a world in which consumers are used to get the experience they want, very personalized on their taste, on their expectation, on their needs, and they want to experience it in the spot when they want it and whatever they want. So for us, it's a very important tool within an ecosystem. So we have connected equipment, we have content, we have on-demand video, we have a full range of elements in order to build our training experience. So for us, artificial intelligence is something fundamental to personalize the training and to make it evolving alongside with the consumer lifestyle. Technogym, of course, was born 40 years ago as an equipment, as a private company. Today, of course, we are a lifestyle company. And for us, it's fundamental when we face consumer to be able to offer fitness experiences for some people willing, for example, to look better or to stay in shape. Sport experiences, by the way, we are official supplier to the Olympic Games. So we're offering sport performance experiences for people, for athletes willing to improve their sport performance, or more and more, we're offering health protocol for people willing to do prevention programs or to treat with exercise a number of pathology. So for us, within this ecosystem, so the possibility to connect and to deliver what we call precision training, so very precise experiences to people, artificial intelligence is fundamental to pick all the different elements from the ecosystem and generate. So we're talking about generative AI and generate an experience which is not for your cluster, but it's for Lisa, it's for Enrico. So it's something very meaningful and that evolves with your lifestyle according to your results. And then I can do some example later, but according to where you are, according to the equipment you have available, and according to how your lifestyle.
Enrico, are there particulars that consumers are looking for in their equipment that is driving your AI decisions?
Basically, the driver is lifestyle. So we believe that the driver is the consumer needs, the consumer expectation, and the consumer aspiration. So maybe, and of course, the consumer expect the personal experience to follow him or her in the different places of the life. So today, maybe I train at home because I don't feel to be social. So of course, artificial intelligence will adapt my program to the number of equipment I have at home. Maybe at home, I just have a bench, or maybe at home, I have no equipment. So artificial intelligence will adapt my workout as body weight. Tomorrow, for example, I go to my gym, which has a full variety of equipment. Then, of course, artificial intelligence will adapt my training to my workout, to the big variety. Or I travel, I'm coming to the Global Wellness Summit in Scotland in a month. Of course, artificial intelligence will recognize the result I'm saying in and will adapt my workout to the equipment, which is at the workout. So for us, artificial intelligence make our ecosystem intelligent. This is exactly the way I want to use it and helps people. For us, artificial intelligence is good because it's helping people making the most of the location or the moment in life they are.
This brings up a good question, one that we've been grappling with, because we're known for the caliber of our experts, our real life, real world coaches, our human beings. And AI is truly giving them a run for the money. So we did a side-by-side comparison where we asked one of our human coaches to develop a personalized training plan, kind of what, like Enrico was saying, Technogym's AI can do. And then we compared it against training plan that ChatGPT had developed. And they were surprisingly similar. And so what we're finding is that the training plans that a ChatGPT or a large language model can develop, they're valid. They make a lot of sense. And as AI and the large language models begin to incorporate elements of history and the more it knows about you and personal data, it is able to personalize your training plans and recommendations with surprisingly high degree of validity.
Well, it'll take you to discover that, Vishal.
Not long, actually. This is a little experiment we ran about maybe 10 months ago, when generative AI had kind of first burst on the scene. And the technology has rapidly evolved since then. It's not perfect, but it does force us, especially in the hospitality business, to think about how do we upskill and level up our people so that there's not a fear of robots taking our jobs. There's not a fear that AI is going to replace the human touch.
Which is a little bit of what we're seeing now. Enrico, I'm coming back to you. I would like to hear what Technogym is doing in the workplace in terms of AI. I mean, is it only in equipment that consumers are using, or are you using AI to develop the equipment and to produce it?
Of course, AI for us is also a great way to analyze the data. Basically, within our ecosystem, we have today 70 million people around the world to train with Technogym, which are very normal people, or which are the athletes of the the recent Olympic Games, who have been official supplier to the recent Paris Olympic Games, as well as the last 9 editions. So for us, of course, data is very important. Of course, data belongs to people. So of course, you decide whether you want to share your data or not. But of course, artificial intelligence is also a great way to do innovation, to understand trends, and really to understand when it comes to content, for example, within our ecosystem. We do not only have equipment, but we also have training content people can log in. So it's sort of big Netflix of fitness to make it a very easy explanation so people can select the right video according to their needs or to their aspirations. And of course, artificial intelligence is extremely good for us to understand which way to go, which are the trends, which are the way to go forward in terms of, let's say, data analysis of all the big data analysis. So for us, I have to be very honest. First of all, artificial intelligence is a benefit for the consumer. In order to have something very meaningful to the specific goal and to the specific place they are and the specific moment in their life. But of course, also in terms of innovation and production and logistics, artificial intelligence is fully integrated within our processes.
It's being used on the factory floor, for instance.
For sure. Of course, we know the seasons, we know the orders, and artificial intelligence, of course, makes our production and our logistics extremely, let's say, updated with the needs and the possibility to do predictions year by year, for sure. I believe it's pretty in today connected world, this is pretty obvious. So for us, the big innovation is really the adaptability of the workouts for the consumer.
Mm-hmm. For key. I'm wondering further to that, if you think that having this connected fitness equipment, especially when it comes to a hotel gym, will lessen the need for the hotel gym to have staff around to help the consumers with the equipment.
Absolutely not. Human touch is fundamental. So we believe that artificial intelligence enhances human touch. So artificial intelligence takes out from the trainer useless tasks. So what is extremely, let's say, basic and extremely straightforward, artificial intelligence can do. But artificial intelligence cannot be empathic. Artificial intelligence cannot smile. Artificial intelligence cannot elaborate a psychological advice. So we believe that artificial intelligence is extremely useful in making the training schedule, the training program extremely precise. But then, of course, it will not replace the empathy of a trainer. So we believe that is making better use of the trainer time, artificial intelligence.
Can you speak at all to any of the programs that you're using at Technogym? Obviously, artificial intelligence is packaged in programs for consumers or for specific uses. And some of them are better for laymen to ask a question, and others are better at predictive data or big language learning model work. Do you know what you are using at Technogym? in terms of programs?
We have, I won't go in details of the different softwares. Of course, we do have, the main news we have is our AI coach. So the Technogym coach, basically we have an app, which is the turning point of our ecosystem. So basically the app is what makes it personal for every single user. And the app contains an AI powered coach that every day adapts your training based on your needs, on where you are, and on what your aspirations are in order to help you reaching a better result. Then, of course, in order to power this coach, we have plenty of different softwares that contribute to create this AI. That I will not go into details on the software.
Sure, sounds good. We are good with Enrico. Do you have any other comments on fitness, Enrico? I'm wondering if you can speak for a moment on, do you see any pitfalls in using AI in the gym? Are there things that consumers or we wellness professionals should be looking out for?
I believe that, as I was telling at the beginning, for us, AI is not the holy grail. AI is a fantastic way to make the experience extremely personal. So it's a great tool to reach better results, because of course, this allows to optimize the workout based on the situation and to take the most of your time. So for us, AI is very positive in this sense. Then of course, we believe that we need location, we need design, we need quality, we need experience, we need people. So AI is one of the elements that of course optimize your time and optimize your training program. But of course, AI is not the solution to fitness. AI is something which can enhance a fitness experience, which is made of lots of different elements, such as design, the human aspect, as I was telling you about education. So AI is something that we believe helps you reaching better results faster. Because thanks to the precision, you don't train, let's say, anyhow, but you train specifically, and AI makes sure you're using the right equipment and you do the right exercise based on your goals and on your needs. So this is like an optimization. But of course, this is not the solution for your life.
Well, based on your goals and needs, but also what I'm reading about the new developments is that it will be based on how you are on a certain day. I mean, if I come in and I tell my treadmill that I'm tired, maybe it puts a lighter workout for me, or it says, hey, do this other thing today. Don't lift heavy weights, because it knows more. And I'm hoping that we get to that point with our equipment where it is a little smarter than we are.
We are totally, because for us, AI is both, let's say, on the coach, on the app, which is elaborating your program, and inside the equipment. So of course, the strength equipment, for example, we just launched BioStrength, which is a strength resistance line based on artificial intelligence. Of course, it fails. If it's too hard for you, it will decrease the workload. If it's too soft for you, so you're not training enough, it will increase the workload. And you have the spotter function. So it will decrease the weight when you cannot do it anymore. So if you think of the old bodybuilders, they were using the companion, the spotter, helping them downloading the weight for the last repetition where they couldn't make it. So artificial intelligence can do it for you. So it can be something, let's say, very simple and very straightforward, for example, for the elderly, just explaining you what's the next equipment and what you should do or should not do. Or it can be something very performance oriented for people willing to do till the last repetition and ensuring they do the last repetition in full safety, because artificial intelligence recognizes they cannot do it anymore and decreases automatically the weight. So basically it's both within the equipment. So it's fully, let's say, linked to your body effort, and on let's say the prescription side, in order to prescribe and to adapt the program in order for you to get the most of it.
Enrico, I totally agree. I think the technology is there. There's a number of companies that can analyze your biomechanics through cameras and make recommendations. But I think on the consumer and operator side, there's still this chasm of trust. How am I going to trust that if AI is telling me my form isn't correct, if AI is telling me I can increase my weight, if AI is telling AI coach is telling me reduce my weight, how do I listen to it? Why would I listen to it? How is Technogym attempting to cross that chasm?
We believe that, when it comes to digital economy, not only artificial intelligence, but digital economy in general, trust is fundamental.
Yeah.
So of course, for us, it's about to create credibility on the brand, credibility to our collaboration with university, with hospital, with research centers. Of course, we prove scientifically what we do. We communicate it as much as possible. And for us, it's key, both for the consumers and for the operator to trust us. Because of course, in an economy in which you have an ecosystem, you put together so many modules, so many software, so many technologies, of course, the consumer or the operator, let's call them the customer, doesn't matter, needs to trust the curator. And Technogym today is designer on one side and curator on the other side. So for us, it's very important to scientifically prove and communicate what we do in order to generate this kind of trust. Because without trust, it's if you do an equipment, you try it, you like it or not. If you have an ecosystem made of equipment, software, connectivity, digital elements, you absolutely need to be trusted as a curator.
Yeah, I agree. I think brand is a big part of it. I think with AI though, because the credibility, the market is so flooded with so many AI solutions, it's hard for one brand to distinguish them from the others. And so I do think consumers are beginning to experiment. They try one and they see if they like it. They try another, they see if they like it. And then the landscape is changing so quickly with which AI, which large language model is dominant, which AI is dominant.
That's why then I have to this leads to the path to partnerships. You need to be able to create the right partnership with the right people. For example, Technogym wants to be the exercise expert. So of course, when it comes to medicine or when it comes to nutrition, we want to work with the right partners because of course, the credibility exists when you're really credible within the full solution. So for us, trust and partnerships are extremely important. That's why our ecosystem is open and we're creating more and more integrations with trusted partners.
I'm glad you brought that up because you're making things that consumers interact with, and they do have to trust it. We want to not live in a world where we've created all these devices that are going to work us to death, right? They have to know, we have to have faith that they're giving us the right information. I know, Enrico, you need to go. Do you have any last words?
Thank you so much. I leave space. I'm Italian. I speak a lot, so I leave space to the other panelists. Thank you so much, Lisa, and the other panelists for this very interesting chat, and looking forward to a next opportunity.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
So we say goodbye to Enrico. He is in Italy. He needs to eat his dinner. Toby, I'm going to jump over to you. Toby is the design manager for Design for Leisure, and we know that design and architecture has seen amazing leaps forward using AI. I'm not an artist at all, but when it came to this webinar, I created the image that we used in the promo with AI, and I did it in 3 minutes, and I was like,
Yeah.
now. So, let's talk about how it's with the real professionals, how you're utilizing it in the studio.
Sure. I prepared a few images, so I'll just share my screen if that's okay.
Great.
Yeah, as you know, I'm design manager at Design for Leisure, and with sort of trying to optimize our workflows, the recent innovations in AI, something we have to look at. And so there's various tools, AI tools that we've looked at, and I've got a little brief outline of those here. So one of them is generative design, which I think is the one that sort of created this increase in interest recently, because you're able to create a wide range of design options based on constraints and inputs with relatively little work. That could be text to image software, things like that. Rendering engines, which is what I'm going to delve into slightly more with, you can create highly realistic images. And the benefit of that is it saves a lot of time and efficiency at early design stages, because it can create renders way quicker than we normally can with a lot less effort. So we can start, at a concept stage, we could do sort of like a concept model, and then we can put it through this render engine and create stunning visuals that used to take us maybe a couple of weeks of modeling and editing and After Effects and all those kind of things. And the third one is
An
predictive.
example, Toby, or you'll show us an example in your slides.
Yeah, I'll show you in a sec. And the other one is predictive analysis, which we haven't touched on too much at work here yet, but it can analyze data to predict future trends, which can help with planning and future construction or design stages. So the images I brought today, so this is a simple sauna model that I'd created in Revit recently. So here's a simple model that I've created with simple geometry, so floors, walls, benches, a glass looking outside. And
how did you create this in Revit or in using AI?
This is Revit, so not into the AI stuff yet.
Okay.
This doesn't take too long, but normally to create presentation quality renders, we'd have to add a lot more information. Purposely didn't put the sauna cladding that you'd typically expect in a sauna, like the wood slats, things like that. So with some simple prompts, defining some wood types and ambient lighting, I was able to create this in about 20 seconds.
Wow.
So the interesting thing is the more you look at it, the more you see wrong.
But at first blush, it conveys the feeling, which in our industry is probably the more important thing. It's the feeling that you're going to get when you enter the space.
Exactly. And so this was the first one. So I sort of didn't really like this because it's not really understood the glass too well. The wood type doesn't really look that great. So I then changed it to hemlock wood, which is a common wood we see. And actually, sorry, that's a lie. I changed it to red cedar, which created this.
Oh, beautiful.
Which also looks great. But the more you look into it, it still hasn't quite got the glass right.
It struggles with the reflections on the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's also changed the geometry of the bench, which is great for, design options and the concept stage. It's something I probably hadn't considered. I'm sure there's some ADA rules I'd be breaking by doing that, but it looks fantastic. But one of the benefits of this software, sorry, go on.
If I might interject for some of the attendees and listeners, to reduce the barrier of entry and to help us all become familiar with these tools, I would encourage you to start trying to incorporate it into your own life. So recently I had some renovations that I had to do on my home, and I was deliberating, do I fork over the money for an architect and a designer, or could I use AI to help me generate some ideas and concepts so it's not a blank piece of paper we're starting with. So I signed up for Midjourney and I used DALL-E.
Yep.
And I went through the same exercise of uploading images of my home, and I ran into similar issues, but it allowed me to communicate my vision much more articulately, saving time and money in the design process. So again, I think these tools are phenomenal, and they're available to consumers, operators, designers. I think it's really important we start familiarizing ourselves with these tools, whether it's in our professional environment or even personally in our homes.
I think that's a great point. I think, this gives us the power to do quite a lot without, having to learn how to use something in depth. So it's super useful, and it's a tool that we definitely should harness.
Let's discuss the next few iterations, and then I have some questions for you.
Yeah, of course. The next thing I did was I wanted to change it to hemlock and change the floor, which brought us this. So it started to read the glass better. It's starting to look a lot more like a traditional sauna, if you like. But I didn't quite like the fact that it's changed the bench. I quite like the look of it, but I wanted it to sort of be more true to the geometry. I then tried to change the floor, and it got confused again with the glass, but it's fixed the bench. So it's another iteration. I then wanted to change the glass back to how it was, and it brought me back here, changed the bench again. I think I changed something about where it's looking outside. So it's, as you can see, it's not perfect, and the quality of these visuals depends a lot on the information you're putting in, the prompts that you're using. And this is I think prompt engineering is quite an interesting topic as well. But I won't get into that now.
So you created all of these in how much time would you say?
The render, it's probably about 5 minutes.
So you put the specifications into Revit, a standard, architectural planning program that all designers have. You put in there, I need it to be this big and then this. And then you take that image that's generated and you put that into the AI. I mean, what does the process look like from there?
Yeah. I suppose it's our typical process of, so using Revit, it's people that don't know, it's a 3D modeling software where you can generate 2D and 3D drawings and models for, collaboration and coordination. So all I did there was very simple geometry to create the shape and then generate a 3D view, which I then just, with the software that I used here, it's a plugin for Revit. So I was able to, it's like a live sync to my model, and I'm able to input prompts and generate renders, in real time. It does it, 10, 15 seconds per render, which normally would take a lot more time because I'd have to consider finishes, materials. The process is a lot faster with this, but there are obviously issues with, it kind of taking a mind of its own.
So, Toby, if it's so much faster this way, will we be paying less for design in the future?
That's probably a question for Don, but I think not yet. I think there's a lot of potential with this, and it saves time at the early design stages. But I think once you sort of get a little bit more detailed, a little bit more technical, you want to see what you're actually paying for, and this is kind of changing it around. So I think this is great for sort of conveying plans and stuff, because not everyone's as familiar with drawings. But I think past that point and sort of using it to generate ideas, I think past that point we sort of would lean on more traditional modeling and detailed methods.
Well, it seems that this would be excellent in early stages of discussing with a client their project, because as you said, not everyone is visual, and it really helps them to see, it could look like this or this or this. And then you don't spend hours creating pictures that won't be used. So that time saved, then you put into better iterations. I like that you're pointing out that the software doesn't do it perfectly. You can't just take that. It has a little bit of a mind of its own, of course, until it's trained.
Yeah.
And so it's an idea, right? It's a concept. And my use of AI so far has been just that, like, I got a few ideas and now I'll have to fine tune them. It's not ready to go, but it certainly is helpful in that aspect and so much faster. I don't even remember what program I created the visual for the webinar in, but I went online, I typed, generative AI image program. I got one, I put in a few prompts, and there you go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's actually how I found this.
Have you found that there are a lot of nuance to the prompt that you give in order to get the look you want?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, as I said, it's a tool and it isn't perfect. But the other thing is the way we put prompts in. So, there's definitely a learning curve with, doing these, the way you group your prompts together, whether it's, sometimes you might put a long sentence and sometimes it will jumble that up and pick out keywords that you weren't looking for. So I think there's definitely sort of a learning curve, or a way to give the prompts. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. But.
No, I'm sure that part of the journey for us is going to be learning to prompt, right? Like learning the way to ask the question. So thank you for that visual. That was awesome. I'd like to turn to Vishal now, who is obviously pretty advanced in all these concepts already. So Vishal, you are the Chief Medical Officer and Co-President at Sensei. Mm-hmm. You have a lot going on in developing new resorts, running existing resorts. I was hoping you could speak to us about, in the hospitality/operations silo, how you at Sensei are using AI.
Yeah, I'll start by, so kind of building off of some of the concepts that Toby and you alluded to. There's so much AI out there, and we wanted to get into the movement, but we had to figure out, where do we place our bets? And so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, what are the core technologies that are driving AI, and what else, and what's derivative. So there are a few core technologies and companies driving AI. Everyone's heard of OpenAI. Mm-hmm. They have a partnership with Microsoft. So Microsoft is embedding OpenAI's technology into their business productivity tools. There's Google and there's Google Gemini. There's Facebook and Facebook Llama. And there's a couple of other ones, Cohere, Perplexity.
Anthropic.
Anthropic, which is a terrific one with Claude. Each one has their strong suits, and each one has, I think, really fundamental partnerships that they're crafting in the industry. As we took stock of our business over the past year, we identified some shared opportunities in streamlining our business productivity tools. And what we decided to do was place our bets on Microsoft. So we streamlined our productivity tools. We got rid of Zoom, which was painful. Zoom is wonderful. But we migrated over to Teams. We got rid of Box and we migrated over to OneDrive. And the intent was to set our foundation so that when Copilot comes on and when Copilot is updated, we're going to be ready to adopt it. And so that's where we
across
are.
the enterprise, one platform. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, across the enterprise. That said, we found that AI, it's not as simple as just, it's not the field of dreams. You can't just put it out there and expect people will just start using it. There is an adoption curve to it. And what I'm personally and professionally finding, because of the prompt engineering that Toby mentioned, that there is an art and a science and a comfort to prompt engineering that I think we have to develop personally. I don't see prompt engineering. I don't see employers and workplaces teaching people how to prompt. I think this is going to be how 20 years ago, we were teaching our parents how to Google search their symptoms, right? And now everyone's Googling, and Googling is a verb. Prompting is going to become a verb. It's just going to be something that you do, but it's going to be something that we have to learn personally. So as we've been grappling with this, what I've started doing is practicing for myself. So we have Microsoft Copilot Pro at work, which is terrific, but I have ChatGPT Pro 4.0 personally. And I practice prompting and writing and ideating through ChatGPT because it teaches me how to speak to the AI. And the fascinating thing is the technology is evolving so rapidly so that the answers I was getting 4 months ago are different than the answers I'm getting today. And they're more sophisticated, and there's less hallucinating, and there's less of the self-referential looping happening today than 4 months ago.
Experiment.
It's a huge experiment, and we have to be a part of it. One of the attendees asked a question about self-referential systems, AI that's aware of itself.
Thinking about thinking, right?
Yeah. And so ChatGPT 4.0, I think that's when they introduced the history. So it'll remember what you prompted. And that has been fascinating and terrifying at the same time. I will ask ChatGPT 4.0, my wife and I are beginning to ask it all sorts of questions, health, wellness, what we should eat, how we should exercise. And it is getting surprisingly good because it remembers. That said, there are limits to how much it remembers, and there's limits to when it starts looping back on itself and starts regurgitating answers. The horizon for that is getting longer and longer as the AI gets better. But what I realize is I have to be aware of how many times can I prompt it before it starts regurgitating things and it's not really answering my question. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point about the prompting. We're all going to need to learn this new language. Toby, did you have a comment?
No, I was just going to say, something I've found myself doing is being polite to it sometimes when I'm using it.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if that's coming from, worrying about how powerful it's going to be in the future and, taking it easy on me, or
it's good. You're a proper Englishman and you're using good manners. I think. Good manners, exactly.
Well, I think I've definitely seen it as you mentioned, Michelle, it's improved over time. So as it's sort of giving better answers, it's almost indistinguishable from getting help from someone else who knows what they're doing. And then
that's exactly right. Of late, I've started asking it. I have an executive coach, I have a therapist, and now I have ChatGPT. And now I'm able to ask health and wellness questions to ChatGPT that rival the advice I'm getting from my coaches.
And this, by the way, let me add that Vishal is an MD and a PhD. So he already has a better knowledge than many of us.
Well, maybe we should talk about that actually, because I leverage my expertise to check ChatGPT on its work. And one area Let's talk about hallucinating and checking your references. I think that's really important for the folks on this call. It's ChatGPT is notorious for hallucinations, and I cannot get it to cite a valid reference. Whether I'm looking for primary citations, give me the study, cite your source. I ask it to cite secondary sources. I ask it to cite news articles. And then being a good scientist, I'll check the references. And it really struggles. In contrast, Microsoft Copilot sits on top of SharePoint. So it sits on top of our company's OneDrive structure, which means that its references are finite and it only generates content from the documents that it's seen. And so it does an incredible job of making sure that I can trace a recommendation or an insight right back to the source documentation within my company. So in that sense, we trust it a lot more. It's not as innovative and it's not as creative, but it is much more trustworthy for us.
That's a really fascinating way to use it. So it is looking at your documentation, your treasure trove of info, and giving you the answer you're looking for from there. So how can you elaborate on that, Vishal, how that works at Sensei? I mean, what consumer-facing things are being done with AI successfully?
Well, we lead with our people first and foremost. And so we have been very shy to just throw AI into an app or into a storefront. We really want to maintain the human touch. Currently, we're using AI behind the scenes. You referenced protocols. We're using it to draft, not write, but draft policies. Recent one that we tried was a terms of service. Every operator needs a terms of service, but it's boilerplate language. And AI can do, what's going to say, a better job than a lawyer, but it's a really good first place to start, and it'll save you time and money. Policies, procedures, SOPs. SOPs can be cumbersome and intimidating. And so instead of starting with a blank page or instead of starting from scratch, we can use Copilot to draft an update, to draft a new protocol. You mentioned job descriptions. But again, it takes practice. I think we, as professionals, are so accustomed to just opening a blank Word document and, taking the stress upon ourselves. It takes practice to ask for help. And it takes practice to trust that that little icon in the bottom right corner of the screen can actually help you when you click on it. And you just have to know what question to ask it.
Now that's that trust issue again.
Yeah.
It sounds like we would build up trust as consumers more by utilizing it the way you are, sort of testing it against what we already know.
I think so. That's personally what I'm finding. And so as a MD, as a PhD, I test it in areas where I feel confident, where I have a lot of knowledge. So scientific questions. A few months ago, when I'm asked about diseases, treatments, medical recommendations, I would do what I felt comfortable doing, which is I'd check the primary literature. I'd go to PubMed. I'd find the studies. I would summarize the research. I enjoyed it. I was good at it. And I'm learning to take my hands off the steering wheel. I'm learning and practicing, asking ChatGPT first, going and having ChatGPT give me the first draft, and then I can check the sources and check the research. And it's saving me hours of time. It is meaningful. It requires me it's an identity shift for me as a professional. My training, my expertise lies in how much I know and my ability to reference what I know and provide what I know. So it challenges me to, think about how I incorporate this tool to up-level my expertise and not be threatened by it.
Not be threatened by it is really a good key. We had an excellent question from someone attending about the bias in the app. Like you spoke to how your Copilot is searching your treasure trove of information, but then if it's not looking outside of that, does that become a biased response? And how do we look out for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, I think there's a challenge with, we think in machine learning and data science, these models can fall into local optima. So, they only search within certain confines. OpenAI, it has confines. It only knows what it has seen before. So there are limits to how much it can remix and ideate and create. So I think what we're doing at Sensei and what I'm personally doing is playing the AI off of each other. So I get recommendations from one, and then I feed it into another and see what the other one thinks. Sounds crazy and dystopian, but that's essentially what we have to do at the moment, is play the AI off of each other and see if they can outsmart one another and outthink each other.
Asking for multiple responses is it makes sense to me. If I'm asking directions to go somewhere, I'll ask a few people on the street, I'll look it up in the map, and then I make my own decision,
That
right?
is exactly right.
Yeah, so we have to be learning to get these different feedbacks and then still make your own decision. We're not at the point where we're just listening to the machines yet.
No, that is a great example. When I ask for directions, I ask my car, I ask Google Maps, I ask Waze, and then I might ask my wife.
Right. Why is this going to be the right one?
Of course, I know which one's right. Yeah.
Right. For sure. So do you see, in terms of Sensei, starting to accelerate your use of AI in operations? Do you think that in the next 6 months, a year, you'll be much further advanced in that?
I definitely think so. Yeah. And again, there's cultural change, but there's also technology change. And so as the technology improves, its culture becomes more adaptive to tech, and receptive, I guess is the better word, receptive to the technology. Then I think so. This can accelerate in the next 6 months.
Well, it's a brave new world for us all. And I think dipping your toe into the water is a really important way to get conversant with it. I know ChatGPT, people, when the second version 4K and 3 came out, people were jumping on it, and others, I'm still asking, have you tried it? No, like, we can't get lost behind. You have to keep up. All of us on this call, whatever age we are, you have an orientation to using the tools that you grew up with or are comfortable with, but we have to be willing to step outside our comfort zone.
Maybe in the last few minutes, there was one area kind of circling back to Toby's work around design that I think would be of interest to the folks on the call, but maybe distinguishing the types of large language models behind the scenes. So the first one that hit the scenes last year was a text-based large language model. What Toby's talking about is an image-based model that's able to generate, iterations or remixing different images. There's video-based models, which are important for operators because they can help create training videos. And I know there's audio models that are coming soon, which I think are really important in wellness and spa, because you can create endless soundscapes for your spaces just by feeding it a few elementary concepts or ideas.
I'm putting a few, let me interrupt just a second.
Yeah.
I'm putting a few programs into the chat for everyone that are things that I found doing research for this. And one of them is a music writing tool that writes a 2-minute song based on a text prompt. Like, wow.
And the technology is formidable. I'll say that. There's an app that I've been using for my personal wellness called Endel.
How do you spell that?
ENDEL.
.ai?
I think it's .com.
Okay.
One of our scientists recommended it because it's been found to be very effective for helping people focus, helping people fall asleep. I've personally found it to be effective. But to the folks on the call, I think it might give you a sense of where the industry is headed. With generative audioscapes, you don't need a playlist anymore. All you need are prompts. All you need are some kind of seed sounds, and then the AI can take it from there. And you can have a continuous ambiance. You can have and that ambiance, that audioscape in your space can change based off of the time of day. It can change based off the event, and it requires less tinkering with the playlist and tinkering with the library that you're in your space. Same thing goes for video. I used a couple of apps that didn't feel like they were ready for prime time, but one that I think is worth considering is called HeyGen, HeyGen. That looked to me to have the most advanced technology for helping you create training videos of yourself, where you write the script, load a video of yourself, and can take it from there.
I love it. There's so many things which I didn't know about either. And as I said, doing research for this, I realized, wow, there are so many tools. I mean, if we had all day to read TechCrunch and read the AI newsletter, we learn these things, but we have day jobs to do. So we are trying to incorporate these new tools into our everyday lives. And it starts with us and setting the stage. I think the important thing is that I wanted us to get out of this conversation is that it's not to fear it. It's not taking our job. Maybe it's changing the way you work and allowing you to work differently or focus more on other things like Toby said. I mean, he's not spending hours creating drawings, but now he can spend hours fine-tuning them or doing some different work. They're not taking our jobs, at least not yet.
I agree.
Someone asked, who owns the rights to the music? That's a good question.
That's a good question. And I think there was another question in the thread about maybe privacy, intellectual property. Who owns your data? Can you trust it? Is it safe? And I think the jury is still out on that. I think that is still being debated. Policies are still being worked out. And so it's, TBD. I know we're just at time, so maybe that's something we can elaborate on after the call.
Well, I have a last question from Professor de Virville. Can AI create an AI bibliography of resources of itself?
Good question. I've asked it sometimes. Sometimes I just force it. Tell me your references or cite your references, and I can't get a straight answer. So I don't know why. And this is regards to like medical questions, so I don't know why. Yeah, Toby, what do you think?
No, I was just going to say I've had the same issue. One of the challenges that I've had over the last few years is pull codes because they change depending on what state you're in. So as like a test, I've asked it, what is the pull code for, leading handrails walking into a plunge or something like that. Say, for example, it changes in the States. And it can actually give me the right answer. But when I ask it to, give me a link to where it found that information, it can never do it. But then when I'm able to find it separately, it gets it right, but it can't seem to explain how.
Oh, we got the answer. Well, we learned that in math when we were 8 years old, right? We got the answer, but we weren't sure how. Things haven't changed, I guess. So I want to thank the panelists and everyone who attended. I hope you found this interesting. I think we could probably talk for another hour, which we don't have. Thank you again. I'm glad we raised this subject, and I'm sure there will be more about it. Thank you to my panelists, Vishal and Toby, and Enrico, enjoying his dinner in Italy somewhere.
Well, thanks for having us, Lisa, and thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.